right. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the Highway and Waterways Committee meeting on Thursday. Call the Highway and Waterways Committee meeting on Thursday, July the 20th, 2023 to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Carrico?
Present.
Mr. Dunnell? Mr. Featherling? Present. Mr. Snipes? Mr. Smith? Ms. Emmer Earps? Present. Mr. Ashcraft? Ms. Rittmanagemi? Ms. Turner? Present. Mr. Wheeler? Present. Mr. Alexander Hildebrand? We do not have a quorum.
Thank you. I do not have any public comments on my desk. Is there any public comments at this time? Any public comments? All right, so we're going to probably wait on the item 3 a little bit, if you don't mind. And the next would be the Waterways. And you have probably received, I'm assuming that you have received a packet with the information that will be presented today. Chairman Wheeler will go over a little bit on the update.
Thank you. Do we have documents for the public? Okay. I'm trying to run through this repetitively, some of this, just because people learn that this stuff is on YouTube. We're getting new viewers, so I apologize for some of the redundancy if you've heard some of this before. So we did have Burke here last month on, and we're talking about the dredge plan. We have a more detailed mapping of the time in the months that these certain things should occur. The survey is going on as we speak, if you will. These days here from the 17th and this time period, the mussel survey. I was informed that part of the benefits of the design that we'll show here in a minute again, that it makes us have a more limited survey, so less costly and less of a chance of obviously finding that endangered mussel in that area, even though that was, I would say, not something we expected. We expected to find it in a different type of terrain, if you will, with more rocky. This is all sand and they don't like that. So we'll just give you an update as soon as we know. Our timelines are all impacted by if the mussels are there. If these, when I say mussels, they're like clams, basically. Good bait from what I hear. So we'll know the timeline. If it ends up having mussels that are endangered species, we're gonna have to dredge and then put them back in, which puts things into the end of next year as far as the actual completion of the project. If we're able to get past that mussel study now, we could probably have things ready looking like in April to get that project done. So that just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that timeline. It really would be nice to have for the boating season, people able to use that launch, and obviously for our rescue boats that need to get in over there. So is there any questions about that? If not, I can move on.
Any questions? Okay.
Timing, and we actually put the grid, if you would flip to the next page there, that is the actual like Microsoft project outline of the timing of a lot of this stuff. So obviously, you know, we're into July, so it may push it into May a little bit, but you never know how long, is there going to be, when's the ice break loose, if we do have ice, because we've had warmer winters, you know. So much is depending on where we're at, how high the river is after the winter, those types of things. So I can move on from that if you so are inclined. These are just, I gave you the whole report of the project report as it has been updated. We can flip past this as the cover page. This next one, we talk about bathymetrics. These are the elevations, for lack of a better word, that I think it's basically the elevation of the floor or the base of the river, and that's how they would determine what the next slide is on what the proposal is in order to deal with the situation that you've got a lot of sand upstream of this. Sediment is still there, but you still got a lot more sand at this point. How do we deal with the fact it will fill in over the years, and you have to design it according to Burke and I believe, is Jeremiah here?
Yes.
Okay, because he was on the call with Burke where we discussed this, and he can chime in on some of his ideas there if he so chooses. But the thing was to create, I want to say, almost like conveyor belts to keep the water moving, which keeps out that little mini channel, if you will, cleared out. It also leaves those spaces just to the upstream and downstream side of the boat launch as a place for us to come out with our excavators when the time comes to clean all of this out again. We would also potentially have something that either could have a permit according to Burke. Obviously, this needs to be permitted from Army Corps. We were going to try to get some type of the permit that allows us to maintain this as well. So we just probably have to file paperwork. We're going to go down that road once we're done, because we know we're going to have to do this for another 20, 30 years all over the river. The question is how do we do it inexpensively, efficiently, and then part of an overall plan instead of a series of one-offs down the river. So I don't know, Jeremiah has comment. He can get on the mic back there and talk about any of that stuff.
I do have a question for Jeremiah. Chairman
Did you
Wheeler,
introduce him first, Greg, to the group?
Jeremiah Gadboys. He's our maintenance supervisor slash river expert, and I think you've been told before he came from the Corps of Engineers, so he's aware. He's kind of familiar with all these issues.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. My question would be, according to what Chairman Wheeler was referring to the prevent the sediments to, after we do all the dredging and everything, to go back into the river again. So what would be your idea or suggestion when it comes to secure the riverbank, structure-wise and design, things like that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the cross-section design itself, the shape and the controlled width will help, maintain the velocities necessary to keep pushing the sand through until we can prevent or work with Indiana in the upstream areas to help reduce that sand from silting back in, and some areas like that might be bank stabilization, just controlling some of that sand from upstream, basically.
Yeah, I seen some designs that utilize some grids and around, but I think you probably have an idea to utilize some kind of vegetation too, right?
Yeah, there are methods, for instead of a hardscape type surface like riprap or reclaimed concrete, there could be vegetated geofabrics and things like that. So I think Christopher Burke has done some projects, Singleton Ditch and other areas that might involve more vegetation than these engineered solutions like riprap or concrete channel.
With that, will look very nice,
Yeah.
and will allow the natural environment to secure the ground and everything else.
Certainly. And one other idea, other than just the cross section itself, like I said, maintaining those velocities to push the sand through, reduce future dredging, is what Christopher Burke is calling a log vein, also referred to as a jetty, groin, depending on the situation and what we're trying to do. But in this case, immediately off the concrete ramp, we have a large, access area to the navigable channel. So the idea is to dredge and open up a lane to get to the main channel, but as water flows and sand continues to we call it dynamic equilibrium, find its place, it eventually will work itself back into those areas, into the channel and into that access. So we've proposed a type of structure. Currently we've suggested logs, using maybe some of the trees that are already leaning in the area, cleaning them up, stacking them, wrapping them together with cable, but to help stabilize the upstream side and hopefully reduce some of that future maintenance in the area.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Just for the committee's sake, He's absolutely correct. Indiana has to address the amount of sand and sediment that are getting into the river, and that's why I'm on the commission in Indiana. And we're reconstructing the meanders, if you will, because they're not the true meanders that existed 100 years ago. They're what the river is trying to do now. It still wants to make a channel for itself and meander. And we're using these structures, as he's talking about, with other things, geofabrics, native species, deep-rooted. We're on a project, which I included, I believe, on this meeting invite, regarding an invasive species that's destroying banks, about eradicating those in Indiana and replacing it with the natural vegetation that will actually hold those banks in place. We've identified those places, at least from around the Moments area to the state line, that we actually need to stabilize some banks. I'd say probably all the way down to Sun River Terrace. That's where we did our survey. That's part of the 40-year work plan, and it is my intent to have our presence in the Highway Department / Waterways on the Technical Advisory Committee in a non-voting but more educational role in Indiana. And so his first mission is to get his feet on the ground with the road side of his job. Now we're transitioning into this. And so we're trying to get our speed together, if you will, on these projects. So there's a few things that Jeremiah is not aware of that we've been working on that are working, and we're going to deploy those technologies here in Illinois as applicable.
Chairman Wheeler, since you are part of the committee with the Indiana, do you think that the approach that they are taking in terms of securing the banks so we don't have the problem again, do you agree with that? Do you think that is a good way to do it?
Well, I just have to look at what's working. And you could see the bottom of the river now on the Yellow River. Okay. And you haven't been able to see that in 75
So it
years.
is working.
It is working now, and we're reconstructing like 2 miles of river, and taking where it's straight up and down sand, calving in like an iceberg. We're peeling that back, retaining it, taking the trees and driving them head first in with the root balls exposed, because that holds everything in place, almost like big thumbtacks, if you will. But it's using the natural things that were there. We've removed, I can't remember how many thousand trees have come out that were leaning. What Indiana has that we don't have, okay, and this speaks directly to your question, they have like a 50-foot easement on each side of the river where they can go in and just, if the tree's gonna fall or it has fallen, they can grab it before it gets in the water. We don't have that. We've got to talk to every property owner along the river that wants to let us, once we get the equipment, get it the heck out of there so it doesn't end up in the river. And we have to work with Jeremiah to determine, is that the height of the tree away from the river, because all they gotta do is call us and do a hold harmless, and we'll go come and get the thing. But that's how you'll stabilize the banks, by leaving that root ball. So again, this is his area. I'm just getting you up to what we've done so far. The Indiana, everything over there is not gonna work like it would work, it won't work here like it did over there. But it's really important that we get the ideas and the new way that they're addressing these things to still let the river be a river, but try to keep it away from, as I said, wastewater plants. Flood in the places we want it to flood, because it's always has and it always will. Does that make sense? Manage expectations,
Anybody have any questions for Jeremiah or Chairman Wheeler? No? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
A lot more to come. This is just the start. No, as far as this whole thing, this is just the start. But so you've got those drawings in there. I kind of bored you with some of that. The one I will draw your attention to, if you flip forward a couple areas, keep going. I think it's right after these graphs. Yes. So we talked about dewatering on site. That's the plan right now. We have, I believe, the IGA is either passed by both boards or in process of with the Kankakee Park District. We had to get something formalized. If we damage the lot, obviously we got to repair it, that kind of stuff. But the thought is, since it's already sitting right there, let's don't pay to truck it twice. That means we can get more sand out and do more of these things that we want to do, because we're only limited by the grant that we're given by DNR. All right, so that kind of shows you a little bit. This will change. You'll see more on this upcoming in the future. And then the trucks would obviously pull in. It's part of the bidding process. You have to bid the haul away and disposal of the sand and sediment. So after it's dewatered, that's the process, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Can't move it before it's dewatered. Any questions about that?
10, right? Yeah, Mr. Featherling?
I did a little research on, I was told by, I think it was Burke Engineering, that we have to haul the sand out of the state of Illinois. Is that a fact? Does anyone know that?
Never heard that.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
I heard, yeah. I was told that by somebody. I didn't know how credible it was, but it didn't seem like it made any sense. Have they done any research on, you know, getting this sand in a place on the farm fields and stuff with all the cost of the fertilizers being so high and stuff? Are the farmers gonna wanna have all this spread up on their land around the county so we don't have to haul it far away?
That'd be all part of the bid documents. The contractor would have to figure out his best way of disposing of the material.
Okay,
So the burden would be on him.
okay.
What we're doing is we have somebody who wants a bunch of it. We're trying to connect, if you will. Hey, we've got a place for it. They want as much as we can give them, and they're vested, and it's a shooting range that wants to berm the whole range. So, I mean, that's, you could do the math, and that's where, you know, I run out of fingers and toes and Jeremiah comes in, but we could figure out how many cubic yards of sand are gonna come and what that would look like on a field. You know, tell them, hey, you're gonna get 8-foot berms for an acre and a half.
Is there any chance of getting them to kick in a little bit for the trucking, or no?
I'd appreciate the getting the
Again, I mean, it'd
Yeah, I
probably
know,
be a
but
win-win for the contractor if they find someone to take the material, and they'd have to work something out outside of the contract they have with us.
So once they pump it out and it becomes a pile, it becomes the contractor stuff. He's got to take care of it.
Right, he makes it disappear.
Yeah, he dumps it in your yard or something. Yeah. Because there's gonna be a lot of it. You know, that sand's, I don't know, 6-7 feet high right by the boat ramp there. If you go walk into the water, I think it's got to be a good 5-6 feet high. So there's a lot of sand there. There could be 400 or 500 truckloads of sand out of there. So, but as far as the stabilization goes, you were talking about the bank with the riprap. I don't know, that's not a good idea around boat ramps, but people do it, but they wreck boats too. But when they put the sand at an angle, it ledges out a lot of times with different heights of the water. It'll form a ledge and it'll actually hold itself in place. And that, you can see that sand and then going right through the water. It doesn't even slow down, it just keeps right on going, but it's gonna slow down somewhere downstream. So this is gonna end up, you know, washing some more up the way there. So I was wondering if there's any chance we should be working on, you know, step 2 here, where we're gonna go with the second part of this, because we have time obviously to do this. And I don't know if the engineering, how much it is, Andy, if it's, I think we allowed 60,000 or something for engineering right away. Was that what it was?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
About the engineering costs for this project right here. When we first started doing it, we allowed so many dollars for engineering, remember?
I don't have the contract sitting in front of me.
Yeah, but I mean, it was
Yeah.
roughly $60,000, I think it was. So is that the kind of money that it would take to, you know, and take another half a mile or quarter mile of river to open it up the rest of the way too? So I don't know if we should be working on an A, B, or 1, 2, or phase this or phase that, but if it takes so long to get it going, it takes a year or 2 to get it going, you can always get it approved and then not do it right away too. So I didn't know if it was possible to get some more engineering done around the corner. Well, we have a lot of properties there that are homes. And right now they're not accessible by the river. And what happens is if it becomes river accessible, then their property becomes valuable again like it was when they bought it. So right now you can't, half those people on the river there can't get a boat. They park in the middle of the river and they walk to their house and through 6 inches of water to get to their boat.
Let me say something about the boat launch you're talking about. I'm assuming that they had in other areas or other places, other rivers, they had projects that came across with similar situation you're talking about. It. I'm assuming that the engineer will know what kind of ways to secure the bank around the area for the boat launch that will prevent the sand from coming back in, but will not interfere with the boating activities. So
like I said, the riprap idea
I don't think it's a new thing.
Isn't a good idea around a boat ramp.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a new thing here. You know, they probably have already checked other areas that have similar need, let's say.
Well, they kind of explained it to us before, is that it was going to keep moving. You know, what was coming in
Okay,
was
Chairman
going to keep
Wheeler?
on going.
Yeah, and I just, so we're clear, phase 2 is us getting $7 million of equipment to do this stuff ourselves. Right. to pull the log jams out so we don't have islands building up behind them, which blocks off a house from being able to access the river. But you talk to a fisherman, that's habitat. You talk to someone who's on a jet ski, that's an island, that's fun time. So everybody's got a different viewpoint. So I would say the other thing is we're never going to have engineering discussions about deciding engineering in this committee. I just want to make sure we know that. We're going to have those discussions with engineers offline and come back to the committee with solutions. Because I'm not, and don't take this the wrong way, I'm not going to sit here for 3 hours and talk about things that we don't have degrees in.
Right.
I'm going to let people who actually know this meet with us, go through the problem, vet it, then bring it to the committee and say, this is what we think, because that's what we're paying them for.
Yeah, but what I was saying is that we had, phase 2, that second idea, which I think we do, it sounds like we do anyway, just so we got an idea for as far as permits and stuff go, that's all.
Yep.
Anybody else? Any questions, comments? Okay, so
You've got timelines, you've got kind of how this is going to flow, and hopefully people will be able to get in and out of there early next year. That's what we're shooting for.
okay. All right. So what I would like to do is, since we have a quorum now, go back to item 3 and to have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from June 22nd, 2023. Mr. Featherland, Ms. Turner. Okay, got a first and a second. Everybody in favor signify by say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next will be the highway. Mr. Hayden.
Okay, sure.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Motion to combine and approve.
You want to combine? He said he didn't have a lot, so he said he
Okay,
could.
we can motion to combine and approve.
Okay,
Yeah.
second. Everybody in favor signify by say aye. Anybody opposed?
Well, you could read them and then we could vote. I was just trying to combine them all.
Okay,
Yeah.
just combine,
Yeah.
okay.
Not
And then we need
vote
to
on
have
each
another
one.
motion
Yeah.
to approve the whole thing. Yeah, because the other one has to be a roll call because it will be approval of that. This was just to combine.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. First one is Kankakee County, Section 23-00000-00-GM. Pay estimate 2 to Cargill for rock salt. We're filling up our bin. We're pretty full, but we've still got more to go. But this is a big pile on that. And that's in the amount of $72,643.14 from our county motor fuel tax fund. Next is Kankakee County, Section 23-00-GM, Supplement 3, Pay Estimate 3 to Grasso Construction for their work in seal coating county roads throughout the county. And that amount is $67,137.68 from the county MFT fund. Next is Kankakee County, Section 23-00-GM, Pay Estimate 2 to Kankakee Valley Construction Company in the amount of $1,477.50. This is for cold patch that we use on the roads. And that's from the county motor fuel tax fund. Next invoice is from Kankakee County, Section 23-00-GM, Pay Estimate 3 to Kankakee Valley Construction. This is for actual hot mix for patching on the roads in the amount of $1,332.75 from the county motor fuel tax fund. Next, Kankakee County, Section 23-00-GM, Pay Estimate 3 to Metal Culverts Incorporated in the amount of $21,895.76 for culverts to replace our stock in the yard and projects we have throughout the county, and that is from the county motor fuel tax fund. Next, Kankakee County, Section 23-00-GM, Pay Estimate number 7, the Vulcan Construction Materials for miscellaneous aggregate we use on the roadways, spray patching or shoulders, whatnot. in the amount of $5,347.78 from our county motor fuel tax fund. Next is Pembroke Township, section 23-11000-00-GM to Gallagher Materials Corporation for cold patch, the amount of $1,481.48 from their township motor fuel tax fund. Next is Norton Township, section 23-090000-0 pay estimate 1 to Grasso Construction for seal coating township roads in Norton Township, the amount of $71,591.42 from the township MFT fund. Next, Otto Township, section 23-10000-00-GM, pay estimate 1 to Grasso Construction for seal coating roads within their township in the amount of $72,834.88, and that is split between the township RBI fund and the township MFT fund. Next up, Rockville Township, section 23-13000-00-GM, supplement 1, pay estimate 3 to Toby's Construction in the amount of $29,846.39 for spreading aggregate on township roads. And this money is coming from their township MFT fund. Last one, Kankakee County, section 2300GM, non-MFT, pay estimate 1 to Kankakee Valley Construction in the amount of $377,513.92 from our county matching tax fund. And this is for our contract that we have for resurfacing roads throughout the county. This particular amount is for County Highway 12 in Herscher. So, and that's the last one.
Okay, thank you, sir. What I would like to do is to have a motion and a second, and then we go into questions. And before we do the roll call, can I have a motion and a second to pay for the county engineer pay estimates, please? Okay, so to be Ms. Armour Earps, second by Ms. Federland. All right, any questions, comments? No questions, no comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Carrico?
Aye.
Mr. Featherling?
Aye.
Mr. Snipes?
Aye.
Ms. Armour Earps?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler? Motion carries.
Thank you. Is there any old business? Any old business? Any new business? Mr. Snipes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Don't know what happened, but the county doors were locked downstairs. Individuals could not get in. I didn't get in, and I know Dan told me he opened up the doors at 7:15. He had met me, and so he said they couldn't be locked, but they were all locked, and even these didn't work. So hopefully they'll check into that, but we couldn't get into the building because all the doors were locked, and so Dan is reopening them, and I don't know how they got locked on both sides, but they were all locked. So if they can check into that, I did call upstairs and I forgot, because I thought the meeting was canceled, something was happening to the county building, but just FYI, because we're having a meeting, so it's important that we have the doors open so that we're not in violation, but we did not know. I guess they didn't know because he said he opened them.
To address your concern, I believe that they are already aware of that, because when I came in, the gentleman that works for the maintenance, he was actually working on that door. He had the door open already at that time, so I'm assuming that they are taking care of that, because he was aware, because he was there with the door open and allowed me to come in at the time, and he was checking something on the door.
Oh, okay. I just know when we got here, then people was waiting that it was still locked, so that's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they know what's going on. Anybody else? Any other business? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just an FYI, we have 4 county bridges posted with load limits, and we just got a letter from IDOT approving starting design work on the last 2. So as of right now, our 4 bridges that have load limits on them are all in the process of being designed. Construction on them, some of them will start next year, and there may be one that goes into 2025, but we're on the path now.
Okay, thank you. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, so Ms. Armour Earps and Mr. Fedlin. Everybody in favor signify by say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed, same sign. Okay.